Let's see. While we have Myron and Andrew, what do you think about Sartain's statement? You don't need to sleep with 50 women, but you need 50 women to want to sleep with you. Building attraction / pre-selection. We just talked about this.
Yeah. It's a fair assessment. Yeah. I mean, I've said it many times. Like that 50, like people are so stuck on the number.
That's your vasectomy for me.
It's like so crazy how like people like take it. And it's like, oh, I'm at 49. Okay, sorry, babe, can't get married. Like, no, it's like I say that. So I just want guys to be in a position where they understand female nature and have the red pill awareness to navigate dating in the marriage marketplace in an intelligent fashion. Now, some guys are higher IQ. They could figure it out after one girl. Some guys, you look at like Nick, he's a virgin, understands females, great. But let's be honest, most dudes are stupid. And I like, as much as I say men are stupid, women are stupid.
Like coaches
are too. Like a lot of guys, they need to get their hand burned on the stove. They think that their style of game works, simping on women. Because when it comes to dealing with women and attractive women, a lot of guys have egos.
Yeah.
So they'll think, even though their methodology isn't optimal, they think it's the best methodology.
Yeah.
And what's up happening is they have to make mistake after mistake after mistake to realize, oh, this doesn't work. Then by then maybe it's 10 girls, 20 girls, 30 girls, and it takes them that number to figure it out. But if you're a higher IQ guy, you can figure it out after just a few. Now, my thing, and I like that where it says you need at least 50 women to want to sleep with you. Yes. Like ideally, look, if you could figure it out after 20, 30, whatever, or less, the less the better for you. But the reality is I just know most guys are stupid.
Yeah.
So I have to go off the lowest common denominator since most people are retarded.
Well, and remember that I made the counter argument of value when me and Myron discussed this on his show. So my argument, my basic argument against this is just that I don't give prostitutes or promiscuous women, I consider that of no moral value. And what I don't want is a normalization that there is moral value there because it's useful for men to use them to wipe their off to understand female nature. I don't want to ascertain any moral value that way to these types of women. So I do think it's a better proposition that Sartain offers just on this particular point when he says it's important that they want to sleep with you, not necessarily important that you actually sleep with them. That's
no, I mean, I can definitely see that perspective because at that point you've built yourself up. But to get that position where they want to sleep with you, you had the traits to be attractive in the first place and the pre-selection. So like, because the thing is with guys, like women have this superpower. One of the few things they can actually do right. They have a fantastic ability, this uncanny ability to like detect when a guy has women that want him.
Yes.
Like they can just feel it when they talk to you and your mannerisms, the way you behave, the way you convey yourself. They're like, oh, this guy's getting laid. Okay. So, but in order for you to get that confidence, it's very difficult to do it without actually getting laid. Like some guys can exude it without getting laid, but most guys are going to need to actually be getting that real repetition and really getting these women to be able to exude that nature, that feeling that the women can get off that they can notice.
Let's go back to your high IQ comparison. I think Dave Smith is high IQ, and I think Steven Crowder is high IQ, and I think they both made a mistake by not getting a prenup. Steven Crowder, we can see obviously. And then with the Dave Smith thing, he was on your show, and he goes, "The rest of you guys need a prenup." But I don't need a prenup because my wife is never leaving me. He said this on the show. No, I totally understand what you're saying. He was not joking. He goes, I understand, but you don't understand. My wife is so in love with me. I don't need a prenup. You guys need a prenup, but I don't need one. And I'm like, oh my God, bro. So here's the problem. The thing is, there's the software update of social media. There's the narcissism that's been developed by social media, dating apps. And then additionally, people can develop mental illness late in life. You don't know. I've also seen a situation, and we've had discussions about this, where people put on 100 pounds of and their brain doesn't work right anymore. And so that's another thing that can happen. So that woman that
or they're just on the wrong medication for a bum knee.
Yeah, there you go.
They're on the wrong medication for a bum knee, and the wires get crossed, and they become a different human being overnight. Yes, of course that happens. One thing, and poor Steve, the guy did it right. He did it exactly right. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He had a Christian marriage, married a he himself was right. They had a beautiful family. He did everything right. And the thing is, though, is that the sewing circle Christians got in his head about what he was supposed to do in his marriage, what he wasn't supposed to do in his marriage. And because he thought he did everything right, he ended up getting really by the bad advice. And that's the thing about the red pill advocacy that I always say is good. It's a descriptive packet, right? It's a descriptor of things, not a prescriptive packet.
Yeah.
And if he had had access to that descriptive packet before he had gotten married, what had happened with him and Hillary Crowder would not have happened. It wouldn't have happened because Sartain's right. He is high IQ. And the problem is that was not, you got to remember for our generation, mine and Crowder's, that wasn't available. There wasn't anything like that. It wasn't there.
You had to go looking for it. Like
not only that, but even if we went looking for it, it was hard to find. You know, it was easier to find. It was easier to find money laying in the street.
Literally,
we don't advertise.
Literally, not even 5 years ago, this Redpill stuff was still very underground.
Yeah,
that's why they hate it so much. All the feminists hate it so much.
Yeah, you want to talk underground? I'll tell you, 20 years of underground.
So, like when I say like the people who really get stuck on the 50 number, I just want guys to understand female nature. How you get there is up to you. But I understand, since most men like need to bang their head on the wall a few times, it might take them 50 to figure it out. But if you can figure it out in less, fantastic. Because the ideal situation is to get with a female that isn't a 304, that's going to respect you, that's going to follow you, etc. Because I just understand that religion, unfortunately, it will keep some women in line, but it won't keep others in line. And I saw some of the debate that you and CJ were having, where you were saying, look, I understand that marriage is a institution that's dangerous in today's day and age, but this is why we need to remove the state, make it religious only, because religion is a very good buffer on female hypergamy to shame them, right? Because you have the
social, the social.
You have these social things where they keep women in line. And if if you're able to kind of like fix in that way, that's great. Because I've said that before too. Like, if you want to go ahead and get married, just do it religiously. Don't do it with the state. And then adding the component of shame and community, that will make them want to stay in the marriage more.
Along with propaganda.
Yeah.
And the basic idea, the basic idea too, the idea is, well, that's some possible future. It's like, no, that's right now, right this second. The Orthodox and Catholic churches are keeping families together by doing this, by having the social ecclesiastical authority to help govern people's marriages. And they do a good job. And the thing is if the women are involved heavily in the church, that becomes part of their social circle. And you know, as well as I do, that most women are the sum of their social circle, just like men are. And divorce as a social contagion, right? And leaving your man, social contagion often. If you're around a woman who's divorced, what happens? She starts telling the other women,
absolutely,
get divorced.
It's literally cancer.
It's cancer. Yeah, it's a social contagion. So the churches right this second, the traditional churches are assisting men with this. And if it's the case that you want to get married right now, there's nothing valuable about secular marriage. It's totally garbage. It's always been trash. And it was always going to lead to this. Marriage to me only is religious.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, so if that's the case, we're talking about marriage, that it's a religious institution. The religious institutions ought to be what's governing it. And when they do, man, the outcomes are better. Now, how does that affect secularists? The idea here, Andrew, okay, what about all the secularists? Well, secularists shouldn't get married. What is the value of getting married if you're a secular? It's a religious institution. What are you even doing getting married? It's worthless to most of them, and that will put them in a terrible position.
And that's why
but let me ask you, if you had to get married right now today, right this second, and it was blind, you just had it, and all you knew was this, that you could pick between a secular woman, a Catholic woman, or an Orthodox woman. Those were your three choices. Okay. And you were going to be stuck with them forever. Right. And you didn't want them to cheat. What would you pick?
Who's the hottest?
For a long-term marriage, I'd go with or the more religious woman, the Orthodox.
The Orthodox or the Catholic, of course. Right. So then the idea, so what we've just established is very simple. Then the idea is, if you're going to get married right now and you want a prescription right now, Myron just told you that the only prescription is going to be that you're married to a woman who's heavily religious in a heavily religious institution, and you are too, or don't do it. And that was what the debate with CGA was. Yeah. And what he didn't understand, because he couldn't shut the up long enough to hear what the argument was.
It was crazy because I listened to some of it and I totally understood your argument, because I've said that before. I said, look, if you can get married without the state involved and have like what I call training wheels, right? Like, these social training wheels, because with women, what I've realized is like their kryptonite is shame. The religious institutions do that for you.
Yes.
You better not leave.
What? The priest is going to go and govern your sex life? Yeah. Well, they don't go in your bedroom and do that. No. They don't need to. Yeah. Because what happens is the entire social order of the religious institution. What's my proof?
It does not.
Islam. What's my proof? Islam. Yeah. What's my proof? Right? If you're inside of a religious nation, those women behave. Holy, they behave. When you're inside of this nation, right? If you're inside the traditional churches, they're not beaten down like what they do with Islam. They don't have to wear shufas around their head. They don't have to be second class. They don't have to do any of that. But their behavior is governed within a social circle and with priests who are assisting as spiritual fathers inside of their lives, with a community that helps with serious marriage problems. Marriages have serious problems.
Of course.
And what secularists do is they go to psychologists who are 20-year-old bimbos fresh out of school. They don't know shit about nothing.
Yeah,
they don't know shit about nothing.
Like, yeah.
So
95% of psychologists under the age of 30 are female. Wow. 95.
Well,
there are more. And by the way, when it comes to primary education, there are more female military pilots than there are male. There are more female fighter pilots than there are male kindergarten
completely
teachers.
overrepresented in every conceivable way because the path to entryway is really easy. When you're studying the idea of the mind, right? This is not a physical thing, which is why, I don't consider psychology science. I consider it not even pseudoscience or soft science. I just consider it garbage, just intellectual garbage. And ultimately, it has a really bad track record. And the fact of the matter is that the women who are now in control of it, they tend to give the most awful relationship advice on planet Earth, which is why when psychologists come on, they talk with Myron. Myron obliterates them. I mean, just
because they prioritize like psychology now. Especially when it comes to it's become femme-centric. It's more about women being happy versus just like making it work. And the thing with the religious stuff, because I've said this so many times, and it's crazy how like people just take the 50 thing and they don't talk about all the other things. They say, well, if you have this could work as well. What I've realized with women is like their kryptonite is shame. And if you can instill that shame, whether through religion, through community, or a combination thereof, you significantly mitigate her divorcing you and leaving you, because now she has an incentive to stay versus having an incentive to leave, which is what secular marriages do. They prop the woman up to want to leave. So if you're able to get
as much incentive as possible to it.
Exactly. Yep. So what the religion does, especially with a community, the secular incentives of financial leaving to get half your money gone. Now she has incentives to stay because all her friends are married. They'll work with her through her problems. And then also she doesn't want to be the only one that's like leaving. Like, oh, what are you, 3 or 4?
You can't participate in any of the fun stuff with your community anymore.
Exactly. And now she's ostracized. And that works. That's the best tactic.
And you want even
women.
more proof for what Myron is saying? That's so great. If you want to see like the cult Christian religions, like the extreme Mormons and stuff like this,
Branch Davidians.
Where you ask them, you say, why did you stay? You ask the women, like, why did you stay? And they're like, well, I didn't want to leave my community of friends. I didn't want to leave my community of friends, and I didn't want to leave my community of and that's they are the sum of the women around them.
You use the communitarian, like their need for a communitarian like society.
Yes.
You use it against them.
Yes, use it against them. And if it's the case that women, and this is the case, by the way, if it's the case that you have a woman who's hanging out with a bunch of, what does she become, Myron?
Oh, yeah, of course. She's gonna.
What does she be? She becomes, and if you have a wife and she's hanging out with a bunch of divorced women, what should that man do, Myron?
You should get the out of there, man.
Because
like, it is like
it's always the case.
It's because it's like it's so wild to me how if you, and it sounds up to even say this, but the reality is like you have to like almost set things up with buffers to protect your relationship in advance. Religion's a way to do it. Her friend, making sure her friend group aren't is a way to do it. But I think really like the biggest thing is you need to have some trigger effect where if she does something to you that's gonna mess you or her up, there's going to be enormous shame. That's their kryptonite. And I would argue feminism, the basis of feminism in itself is to remove shame. Oh, you want to go get educated?
Whole thing.
Don't get shame.
Yes.
You won't get shame for it. You want to be at 304? You can go ahead. We're going to remove the shame.
You want to have an abortion?
Yeah.
No shame. You want to abandon your kids? No shame.
Exactly.
You want to abandon your family? No shame. You want a career where you neglect your children? No shame. Don't let no man tell you nothing. The patriarchy is just trying to enslave you. You're totally right.
That's what feminism. I've been thinking about this like at night. I'm like, feminism is literally nothing more than just removing shame from female behavior. That's what it is.
And removing force.
Yeah,
it's removing force and it's removing. I agree.